Hello to our wonderful community. Thank you for tuning in at X-Raised, where knowledge meets inspiration in the intricate dance of industry evolution. I'm your host, Miles, and as always, I'm here to peel back the layers of business, technology, and innovation with the brightest minds out there. And today's guest is no stranger to X-Raised. I mean, at this point, I think we need to get him a plaque or at least a VIP coffee mug. I'm honored to welcome back the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of ACI Global and e-Quip. With over 4 decades of experience in corporate social responsibility, sustainability, and ISO certification, he's dedicated to ensuring organizations not only meet global standards, but excel in their pursuit of continuous improvement. Our topic today is about ISO skills assessments, a game changer for professional certification and organizational excellence. So, if you're looking for ways to enhance workforce competence while staying ahead in a competitive landscape, perfectly, you're tuning into this episode. I'm excited to welcome back Ian Erskine. Hey,
What an
Ian.
introduction! What an introduction! I nearly just need to sit back. You're so very well educated, and your research is marvelous, my dear. But again, thank you very much for the invitation, and welcome to all the listeners. And this is a very, very exciting episode where we talk about how a simple skill assessment can be a game changer, and it really is a game changer.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming back, Ian. You're practically my co host at this point. And we'll explore deeper on ISO skills assessments, why they matter, and how they fit into ACI Global's bigger mission of sustainability and corporate responsibility. And ACI Global, Ian, has long been a trailblazer in professional development and certification, and now you're placing a strong emphasis on ISO skill assessments. So, for those hearing this term for the very first time, could you break down what they entail and why are they crucial for both professionals and organizations?
Well, it is very, very important, and it's almost critical. And it's becoming more so as the era of artificial intelligence and so-called introduction of robots uh, is rapidly coming into effect. And I only, on my way into the office this morning, I read an article about the number of factories in China that are now literally closed to human beings. They all run on robots. And I, I employ everyone to stop and think and just embrace the time now is for us to get this right, to demonstrate that humans can't be replaced by robots. Now, a number of ways we can do that is we become all the more vigilant in our performance and how we perform, okay, which puts the pressure back on companies like our own as a training provider. We have to now look at what's coming over the horizon and say, okay, we have to set this up so that our people, and we're talking about people, we're not talking about robots, we're talking about the protection of people's careers and their livelihoods. Because I become quite passionate about this because I think forward, and I just, again, remembering the article I read about robots taking over manufacturing and things like that, and high-powered people saying that, 10, 15 years' time, you won't need to go to a doctor. It'll all be done by artificial intelligence or a robot will look after you. For goodness
Yeah.
sake, I wouldn't want a robot looking after my health
I
concerns. Thank you
know.
very much.
You know better.
Yes, yes. So basically what it is, the skill assessment is basically as simple as an observation event. So observation events need to be carried out as people undertake different activities as they go through their daily, monthly, yearly activities. Okay? And we need to do these to ensure that our capability, our attention to task and detail is being addressed at all times.
Uh-huh.
So it's and we have the technology to do it. all you have to use is your own mobile phone, put it on video, take little video clips of people doing their jobs, right? And the only caution there I say to people is just remind them you're taking a video clip to demonstrate they are doing it the right way. You're not taking a video clip to find anyone out, but it's quite amazing. What I find is when people embrace this method, they take the little video clips, and quite often I'll very quickly get a phone call back and they say, okay, well, it's quite interesting. I didn't notice it while I was doing the video, but when I stopped and observed the video, we were quite clearly missing part of the process. And in the long run, if that had kept going, we would have had a faulty product coming off the production line.
Obviously.
Okay, so that's it. As I said, it's the ISO skill assessment is a combination of different tools that it comes under the banner of the ISO 10015 standard, where we certify people, right, against that quality standard. And it ensures that people are working at their very best at all times.
So once again, it's not just a check the box certification. It's an in-depth real world validation of a person's abilities and activities, which is definitely a series of great from traditional training models, Ian. More so now, as you said, we're in an era with AI. And you've also highlighted how these assessments go beyond theory, but they're also directly tied to ACI Global's ISO witness activity process. So can you explain how this connection enhances the credibility and real-world impact of a candidate certification? And more importantly, how does it compare to traditional evaluation methods?
Well, see, traditional evaluation methods have always been like an examination or an assessment in a classroom, and a tick-off of a number of activities that may be done when the employee first turns up and undertakes the start of their job, right? Someone generally should be observing them doing that, right? But the problem that we have and ongoing is that that's fine to start, but you have to perform that on an ongoing basis. It can't just be a one-off. And there's a sad misconception in reference to competence, because people think once they've sat an assessment and been deemed competent, that's it. They can receive a certificate and that goes for life. I had a person only the other day came back to me and said, oh, goodness me, your email came to us a bit of a shock because I didn't realise it expired in 3 years.
Yeah.
All our certificates have to be renewed in 3 years. Because that way it gives us the ability to reassess. And it's quite amazing because what you often pick up is the candidate has added additional skills. And quite often we can say when we're going through the reassessment process is you realise we can recognise that prior learning and you can be stepped up a number of rungs of the competence ladder or capability ladder, and you can go for a different career if you so desire. So that's how it works.
Yeah. So in essence, it's like getting a major credibility boost for professionals every 3 years. And of course, to keep them updated with the standards. Also, in today's hyper-competitive business landscape, Ian, companies aren't just looking for certified professionals. They need skilled, adaptable, and of course, continuously improving teams. How does ACI Global's approach to skill assessments help organizations not only validate but also enhance their workforce's expertise over time?
Well, we've perfected this process and we've built it on the International Accreditation Forum's observation audit process, which they use to evaluate all their contract auditors, of which I'm one, right? The International Accreditation Forums is the body that accreditates the certification bodies. As a contractor auditor, I contract my services to the auditor body. They require that I have a complete independent person come out with me while I'm doing the audit, and they observe all the activities. So they'll walk round with me on a factory floor or in the paddock if it's a farm, or if it's in a fish and chip shop, they'll walk around in behind through the kitchen, look at the coolers and the freezers, observe what I'm looking for, right? And that person has to have the skills to do that. So he's a highly experienced professional, has all the skills to be able to oversee someone else in the field that is obviously coming up in the ranks. And that's how we've developed our skill assessment, right? And it's all on our website. And I can let all the viewers and listeners know that we're going to actually put a range of different skill assessments to cover different profiles up on our website, just to let people know it's not something to be feared. Something that they will do naturally in whatever that activity is. And the beauty of it is, in line with the International Accreditation Forum, it is completely independent person that does that skill assessment.
I see.
Okay. So if it's the person's facilitator that is looking to do that assessment, we say no, because that person has formed that relationship over could be 12 months, could be 6 months, could be 2 years going through the training. We say no. It either has to be myself, who's not their facilitator, or another independent person with the experience in that profile to actually carry that out, because that gives you that independence, unbiased process that can give you that ISO tick of approval.
So it's like a membership for professional competence, Ian, constant improvement, measurable results, and a workforce that's always in a peak condition. And
accelerating continuous improvement.
Yes. And before I forget, Ian, ACI Global has always stood at the intersection of excellence and responsibility. Given your commitment to sustainability and corporate social responsibility, how do ISO skill assessments align with these values? Are there any specific ways that they contribute to building a more responsible and future-ready workforce?
It certainly does, because it builds, number one, it builds the confidence that the workforce is ethical. It builds the confidence that the workforce not only is skilled, but they're switched on to understand they have to perform to their very best of their ability to be part of that organisation's team. It's a bit like a family, okay? So, and even making it a bit simpler, it's like 15 people in a rowboat, right? Every one of those 15 have to row in unison, have to row at their very best at all times for that team to get over the line, right? Now, if for some reason or whatever, it could be because they're not well or something, if that person is not performing at their very best, the team begins to suffer, right? And then the whole organisation will basically suffer. That's why it is very important to run continual skill assessments, okay? And we tie that back to a person's key personal performance indicators, key KPPIs, right? Everyone would be aware of key performance indicators of a business, right? But in actual fact, the more important performance indicators are the KPPIs, the personal performance indicators of all the people. Because as I indicated in reference to people rowing a boat, if one person begins to fall behind, that affects the whole team. So that's why you have to have that process in place, right? And tying that back into the Global Reporting Initiative, it's that very much essence of what society is all about. And we call it corporate social responsibility.
Yeah. So
it comes from the people through to the organisation, and then the organisations together,
Mhm.
right? And that forms basically the society.
Yes.
Okay. So if you're not doing it right, putting the bricks in the right place at the very start, you won't be able to build that confidence, that ethical society. So this
Mhm.
is why people really do matter. And again, I go back to one of my cores, which I'm pushing strongly very much from now on, is this is what we have to get right, or people will allow robots to take over. And I'm sorry, I am so passionate about that. It is not going to happen on my watch. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, artificial intelligence talks about machine learning.
Mhm.
Mistake. I couldn't think of anything worse than going through a training program that is controlled by a robot and
Mhm.
not with a professional, experienced, ethical person overseeing that process.
Mhm. So, in other words, training today's professional with tomorrow's world in mind, having continuous skills assessments part of the process. And it's like an ecosystem when you were mentioning about it. And that's not just progress, it's indeed sustainability with purpose, I must say. And before you head back to your work, Ian, for professionals and organizations eager to get started, what's the best way to begin the ISO skills assessment journey with ACI Global? What should they expect in terms of process, value, and long-term benefits?
Well, we encourage organisations to allocate a number of senior roles within their organisations to take over this role, which is a skill assessor role. These are the people that have been with the organisation for many years. They have the skills, they have the competencies, they are well known, they are liked within the organisation. These are the people that we should be sitting down with the other employees, either on a 6 monthly or an annual basis. And what they do is a 360-degree assessment. So the let's allocate a role. We'll just say the general manager sits down with one of the supervisors.
Uh-huh.
The general manager basically, and this is the way I always run it, I run it as a 360. So when I start the assessment, I ask a few very simple questions to the employee. I say, how do you find myself in reference to communicating? Are you able to get in touch with me? Are you able to come and ask me these questions? How do you find my style as your general manager or your CEO? So you ask them that question, right? That then breaks the ice because it gives them the confidence, wow, I'm actually allowed to ask questions in reference to how my CEO's
Mhm.
performing. That then leads me, then I start to ask some questions about themselves, right? And the most important thing you need to do in the 360-degree process is build that confidence, right? But
Mhm.
above all, you've got to be able to ensure the person you're interviewing understands they are driving themselves for accelerating continuous improvement. So they're continually improving.
Mhm.
They have all the tools, they have all the people beside them so they can improve themselves, right? They have the confidence you've given them the confidence to say, well, in actual fact, 2 weeks ago, I did make a mistake. I
Uh-huh.
felt I could have done better, right?
Yeah.
Can I ask you, can you give me some input as to how I can do that better? Right. So that's where the senior person can then give them that advice and do some mentoring.
Mhm.
Right. And this is, like I said, the most important part of the initial assessment. And this
Mhm.
is what we say basically to all our organisations is you can start this off yourself. You don't need ACI Global.
Mhm.
Appoint your senior people, start this process off, but then we can then take that to the next step by introducing the Hogan personality leadership profile to everyone.
Yeah.
They then run with that for probably 3 years, and then we then introduce them to the Hogan 360-degree profile,
Mhm.
which each person is assigned up to 8 raters, RATER, so they rate the person up
Okay.
to 8, a minimum of 5. So that
Mm-hmm.
can be their fellow managers, senior manager, managing director, could even be a, a senior manager of one of the supplying companies or something like that.
Yeah.
They rate that person's performance over a given period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Okay.
you then get yourself into a position where they can use the ACI Global tools. We can then go in at the top of that and issue ISO certification,
Mm-hmm.
right? And on top of that, we can then work with the organisation, and it could be a situation where we can demonstrate to them, you really now can step up and you can take on the information security standard as part of your business.
And move on to the next. Yeah.
Yes.
So no bureaucratic red tape, Ian, just a direct path to professional growth, organizational excellence, and global credibility. And that's the kind of efficiency we like to see. And Ian, every time you're here at X-Rays, I feel like I'm leveling up my knowledge in professional excellence. Your insights into ISO skills assessments have made it clear they're not just about meeting standards, but about raising them. So, Ian, as always, it's been a pleasure having you here, and I'm looking forward to our next episode. At this rate, perhaps you'll be the one to introduce me in the beginning.
No, well, next week, I'd just like to let everyone know that next week we're going to revisit our ISO scholarships and graduate program, because
Okay.
we're introducing a couple of very important additions to that. And so, yes, so next week we'll do the ISO graduate program,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking forward to bringing even more people on board and watching you as you grow in your professional journey with ACI Global.
Perfect. So I'm excited to revisit that. So we're gonna have campaign here. So there is no reason for me not to encourage our audience to check out aciglobal.com.au to learn more about how Ian and his team can transform your workforce. I mean, if you're serious about long-term professional growth, take that first step because it's an investment that keeps on giving. Thank you everyone for tuning in and for inspiring us to provide more information-filled episodes like this one with Ian as always. Until next time, this has been your host, Miles. Stay focused and inspired with X-Rays.
And thank you.
Thank you, Ian.